Today's episode is sponsored by Midwest Fire. For more than 20 years, Midwest Fire has been manufacturing high-quality tankers, tanker pumpers, and fire rescue vehicles in the United States and Canada. Keeping firefighters safe while enhancing their capabilities is what they do best. To learn more, go to MidwestFire.com.
This is Lieutenant Jeff Cheshire from the Speedway Fire Department. You're listening to the SA Matters radio show with Dr. Rich Gasaway. SA Matters' mission is simple. We want to help us see bad things coming and time to avoid bad outcomes.
Hello, and welcome to episode 98 of the Situational Awareness Matters radio show. I'm your host, Rich Gasaway. The purpose of this show is to improve situational awareness and decision-making for individuals and teams who work in high-risk, high-consequence environments. The SA Matters mission is simple, to help you see the bad things coming and time to avoid bad outcomes. I'm coming to you today from Los Angeles, California, where I'm in town to deliver a situational awareness program for the Los Angeles County Fire Department Officer Development Conference, a conference that they have called a gathering of legends. Well, I'm not sure that I qualify to be included among the legends that they have gathered here, but I'm really excited to be one of the 5 speakers that they have chosen to share a message with the officers of their fire department. I'm deeply honored to have this opportunity. In today's feature segment, we're going to discuss the role of emotions and how they impact judgment and decision-making. And then I'm going to share the lessons learned from a near-miss event. But before we jump into today's feature segment, I want to make a couple of announcements. If you've listened to the last couple of episodes, you've heard me share the fact that we reached a milestone that I'm really excited about. I track the number of people who attend Situational Awareness Matters tour stop programs, and in January we surpassed 50,000 for the number of first responders who have been trained on the topics of situational awareness, high-risk decision-making, and resilient problem-solving. And I'm feeling pretty darn good about that. I never would have guessed that when I started this tour in the U.S. and Canada that more than 50,000 first responders would gather to learn about situational awareness. And I have to acknowledge that some of those numbers come from attendees who were at programs internationally as well, in Europe and Asia and Australia. And while I'm on the topic of programs, I want to take a moment to thank the departments and organizations that have hosted some of our recent Situational Awareness Matters tour stop events. Your efforts to bring this valuable and powerful training on situational awareness, high-risk decision-making, and resilient problem-solving to your members and others in your region are greatly appreciated. The West Metro Fire Department in New Hope, Minnesota, the Addison Fire Department in Addison, Texas, and of course, Los Angeles County Fire Department Fire Officers Conference, where I am now. If you're interested in joining me at an upcoming Situational Awareness Matters tour stop on March 3rd, I'll be presenting for the Howard County, Maryland Fire and Rescue Department. March 4 and 5, the Toms River Fire District No. 2 in New Jersey. March 8th, the Maryland Fire and Rescue Institute's National Fire Service Staff and Command Program in Towson, Maryland. March 18th, the Center for Public Safety Excellence Conference in Orlando, Florida. I'll be delivering the closing keynote address for that conference. March 19th, the Minnesota State Fire School in Alexandria. I'll be delivering the keynote address there. March 21 to 25, a Company Officer Development Institute program in Columbus, Indiana. March 22, a Situational Awareness program for the Madison County LEPC in Indiana. March 26 and 27, a Company Officer Development Institute in Fort Wayne, Indiana. March 31, a Situational Awareness program for the Community Fire Department in Houston, Texas. April 1 and 2, a program for the Montgomery County Fire Chiefs Association, just north of Houston. April 9, the Delaware Volunteer Firefighters Association in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, a program on generational leadership that they picked up from a keynote that I did at a conference in Florida and invited me to Delaware. Thank you for that. April 12, the Minnesota Department of Pipeline Safety Conference. They attended a program that I did at a terrorism conference and invited me to keynote their conference in Breezy Point, Minnesota. April 13th, the North Metro Fire Department in Broomfield, Colorado. April 14th, the Castle Rock Fire Department in Castle Rock, Colorado. April 19th, the Fire Department Instructors Conference in Indianapolis, Indiana. I'll be delivering a 4-hour pre-conference on situational awareness on that day. April 20, the Texas A&M Forced Service in San Antonio, Texas. April 23 and 24 in Fort Wayne, Indiana for a Company Officer Development Institute program. April 30 and May 1, I'll be at the Lebanon Fire District in Oregon. While I was in southwest Minnesota last month delivering some programs, I stopped by to visit my sponsor, Midwest Fire, and I got a chance to sit down and talk to a few of their employees about what separates Midwest Fire from their competitors. Here I talked to account executive Dalton Lingbeck about their Create a Spec feature. Let's listen in. All right, Dalton. So a lot of the people who attend my programs are volunteer firefighters who have full-time jobs and full-time lives and raising their kids and working second jobs and doing the fire department, and clearly their time is stretched. So how, if they had an interest in a Midwest Fire apparatus, how do they reach you, and what's the process? I mean, how difficult is this? How much time is this going to take if they want to learn more about how to build a Midwest fire truck?
Well, that's a good question. We try and make it as easy as possible because a lot of our customers, if not the majority of our customers, are volunteer firefighters, and they do have a hard time of finding time in a day to reach out to us. So if you ever go to our website and you're searching around and you really want to talk to us but you just can't get on the phone, we have a couple ways of doing this. The first part is we actually have a call request button where you can go on there, you can click on it, you can tell us when and what number to call you on at the best time. That's really easy for us to reach out at the moment you want us to, when you're best available. The second thing is we do a Create a Spec. So on our website, you can actually click a button that's called Create a Spec, and you can build the truck that you are trying to spec out. And what that does, it doesn't give you the full truck, it doesn't give you a price, but it sends us a specification in-house. So what we can do with that is we can have your information to call you with, but before that, we have a spec in hand. We can make notes, we can start developing some ideas, so when we call you, it's an efficient call, it doesn't take up a lot of your time, and it's at the right moment.
And this Create a Spec, is there like drop-down options, like, you know, I'm guessing, like when I purchased fire trucks, sometimes I didn't even know what I wanted, and sometimes I didn't even know the options or what were available. So is this kind of talk me through, you know, the different decisions that need to be made in developing a spec? Because I would guess that there are people out there that would be scratching their head saying, I'm not really sure that I know what I need or want. So how interactive is this in walking you through this?
Well, it's a page-by-page process. So we kind of start out with the size of your truck, and we go on to different options. We try to make it as simple as possible for you to get the point across. Basically, what it does is, like I said, it's a page-by-page process. You choose your options. We lead you in a direction that you need to go. So it's not one big page of just a bunch of stuff that you need to choose. Okay.
But there are options listed there to be able to choose from.
Yeah, but you're not writing anything out. There are comment boxes where you can write little comments if you need to, but we give you the options. Little drop-down, little check boxes.
Are you, on this Create a Spec, are you getting as specific as to say, I want this first compartment to be so many inches wide, by so many inches tall, by so many inches deep? Are they getting that in-depth in the Create a Spec, or is it something that's just a little simpler that allows them to do kind of like a high-level description of what they want in a truck?
It's a little simpler. It's more of a high-level idea. When it comes to compartment sizes, that's more for engineering to figure out. But you can, like I said, in the comment boxes, there are sections where you can say, you know, I want high side compartments, I want full height compartments on this side. There's a lot of options for you to choose that.
Okay, so to go to MidwestFire.com, and then on there is a Create a Spec tab or link. Or
Yep, you'll see one on the top right corner, And if you scroll down the main page, you'll see one underneath our video. There's plenty of options for you to find it. It's just here to catch your eye, and when you see some trucks on our website that you like, feel free to fill one out.
Yep, there you go. Go to MidwestFire.com, check out Create-A-Spec, and see how easy it is to build a truck and then have a follow-up consultation about your needs. Thank you to Sarah Atchison and all the staff at Midwest Fire for your awesome commitment to improving first responder safety. And I sincerely appreciate your support of my mission. I should also note that Midwest Fire, along with Hail Pumps, sponsored 3 live tour event programs across northern Minnesota. Your generous support helped to bring a valuable message on firefighter safety to regions that might not otherwise be able to afford to host a tour stop. And it also allowed us to provide each attendee with a copy of my newest book. So thank you for your support and commitment to improving firefighter safety, Midwest Fire and Hail Pumps. If you're interested in attending an upcoming Situational Awareness Matters tour stop, head over to the SA Matters website and click on the blue box on the right side of the homepage labeled Upcoming Events Schedule. Here's hoping there'll be a tour stop near you and we'll get a chance to meet up. More than 500 agencies on 4 continents have hosted a Situational Awareness Matters tour stop event. Has your agency? No? What are you waiting on? A near miss? A casualty event? No, don't do that. Be proactive and get your program scheduled. If you're interested in hosting a Situational Awareness Matters tour stop event in 2016 for your department or association, just contact me through the samatters.com website. Click on the Contact Us tab and we'll get something set up for you. Here's a tip on how to host a program at a reduced cost. I schedule many what I call companion programs. These are programs on adjoining days to other programs. So if you see that I'm delivering a program within a couple hours of your department and you think you might want to tag along as a companion, contact me. You can save as much as 20% off the program costs by being a companion to an existing program. Oh, you may recall, too, at the start of the program that this was episode 97. That means we're going to reach another milestone next month when we reach episode 100. In the podcasting world, this is truly a big deal. Very few podcasters have the tenacity to keep podcasting just after a few episodes. One of the reasons is there's such very little feedback that comes back to the podcaster, so they really don't know if anyone's listening or if their show is even making a difference for anyone. If you like the show, I'd love to hear from you. Your feedback really does inspire me to work harder. Really, it does. And I really appreciate those who've taken the time to send me an email or to post something on the social media feeds. If you want to know where to find me, you can go to SA Matters website, and there will be links to the feeds for Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So let me take just a moment to share an email that I got. It kind of just excites me and jazzes me up. It says, Rich, I want to thank you for the content that you put out for us. I've been reading and listening to your podcasts and your blog every week, and I forward this information to all the members of my fire department, and sometimes you don't see how much a little distraction or a flaw in your situational awareness at an incident can impact things. So keep up the hard work because you have members like me helping to fight for your mission. Well, thank you, Chief Jim Golden from the East Dover Fire Company in New Jersey. Thanks, Jim. Love that feedback. Okay, I also want to tell you that if you want to receive notifications when a new blog comes out or a new podcast is posted, you can go to the website, and on the right side there's a place to sign up to receive those notifications. You can also sign up to receive a free newsletter that I send out each month. All right, let's jump into our feature segment on the role that emotions play in judgment and decision-making. And when we're done with that, we're going to share the details of a near-miss event. Emotions. It's a widely held belief that the best decisions are made without the interference of emotions. Economists and statisticians alike stand fast on this belief. The best decisions are made using pure logic. Facts and formulas lead to the most rational decisions. But do they? Imagine for a moment if the emotional control center of a person's brain were removed. Would that person then make better decisions because of the loss of emotional control? To answer this question, I want to introduce you to Phineas Gage. Gage was a construction foreman for a railroad company, and on September 13th, 1845, he sustained an injury that made him the subject of neuro-researchers to this day. While placing an explosive charge into a rock with a tamping rod, the ordnance accidentally detonated, and the 3-foot, 7-inch rod went through Gage's skull. Amazingly, Gage survived, an injury that would, maybe to this day, be fatal for many. His physical recovery was no less amazing to doctors. Within 10 weeks of the injury, Gage returned to work. Life was normal again. Or was it? There was something fundamentally wrong with Gage. He suffered no memory loss and no motor skill deficits other than he lost his left eye, so his depth perception was challenging, as it might be expected for somebody with monocular vision. But Gage was clearly different. His behavior had changed. In addition to a change in his personality, one of the most notable deficits was Gage could no longer make a coherent decision. The accident destroyed a portion of his brain in the prefrontal lobe that controls emotions. Gage could no longer make good decisions for the lack of emotional input into the process. Many subsequent studies involving patients with traumatic brain injuries, lesions, and tumors have validated the importance of the emotional control center in the process of decision-making. We now know that emotions are a critical component of decision-making, though economists and statisticians might still choose to disagree. Thanks to advances in modern medicine, researchers are now able to gauge a person's emotional response to a stimulus and predict behavior long before the apparent rational decision is made. One study I recall reading involved asking chief executive officers to register their gut or emotional solution to a problem prior to embarking on a long, often difficult, and timely journey of gathering all the facts and evidence needed to make a good, rational decision. When the dust settled, in a vast majority of cases, the emotional gut decision equaled or was better than the rational, non-emotional decision. The ability of the emotional brain to solve problems and influence decision-making is the very concept of Malcolm Gladwell's book, Blink. While Gladwell is not a researcher, his writings are well researched and, for the most part, accurately portrayed. The takeaway is emotions are essential, no, critical, to making quality decisions. I do not advocate making purely emotional decisions. Rather, I'd say, trust your gut, but validate it with some proof, facts, and data that confirm you're on the right track. But never dismiss your gut feelings. They're telling you something, and the message is coming right from your prefrontal cortex, the emotional control center of the brain. Okay, now let's take a look at what we can learn from a near-miss event. During a late afternoon snowstorm, several engine companies responded to a railroad crossing for a report of a train hitting a car. Upon arrival, they discovered that the train and the car were nowhere to be found, but it was evident from the debris that a collision had occurred. Once command confirmed that train traffic had been halted on the line, firefighters began the search for the car's passenger compartment. Hampered by poor visibility from the weather, it was several minutes before the firefighters saw live power lines that were draped down 2 poles. During the collision, debris had struck the middle of the single power line, breaking it in 2. Thankfully, its 2 halves were primarily against the poles and not laying on the ground. Command notified all crews operating on the fireground and alerted the power company to control electricity of the line. Crews eventually learned that the train and the car's passenger compartment had traveled another 9/10 of a mile down the track. A lot of the near-miss reports received involve hidden dangers that firefighters couldn't easily see when they first sized up a scene. It's not that firefighters ignore these risks or underestimated them. Rather, it's just they weren't obvious. Risk evaluation must be a continual process done throughout a call, and firefighters must adjust their plans when they discover new dangers. This report is a great example of why thorough, constant analysis is needed to rule out certain risks, and we need to thank the firefighter who contributed it. The firefighters in this report arrived at a complex scene, and they correctly accounted for the major risk of additional rail traffic before they began operations. The reporting firefighter said no one saw the power line risk due to being focused on the unusualness of the call and the poor visibility from the wind and snow. It's easy to imagine that other factors may have been at play. The ground was probably difficult to navigate due to debris, railroad ties, and snow, and the firefighters were focused on the potential for massively injured patients. Downed power lines weren't identified for several minutes into the operations. Once this hazard was identified, the risk was acted upon appropriately to keep the scene safe. Firefighters caution each other against developing tunnel vision. We encourage each other to take the entire scene into account. But how do we actually do that? If we have a tendency to over-focus on the task at hand, how can we better protect ourselves against hidden dangers? Here's some ways from leading practices. Discuss how you account for potential hidden risks at a scene. Do you have a list of questions you run through to rule out certain dangers? Discuss ideas that you might have or tricks that you might use to overcome task fixation. Discuss some calls where you found something dangerous that you didn't see initially. When analyzing a scene, don't just mentally record the dangers that you see. Also actively rule out factors that may be in the background. If telephone or power lines are present, assume that some lines may be broken or sagging until you rule it out otherwise. If you're dealing with a car fire, assume the driver was carrying something dangerous until you determine differently. To do this analysis quickly requires practice, and you'll improve as you build a mental database of calls. All firefighters on a scene should develop this habit. Don't rely on others to size up the scene for you. Don't go it alone. Use crew resource management techniques to allow all crew members to bring potential dangers to the attention of officers. Remember, if you see something, say something. When you're operating in inclement weather, make it a point to spend additional time accounting for dangers that you may not easily be able to see. And slow your pace enough to be able to keep yourself safe. Actively ask, what am I not seeing here that might hurt me? Recognize that weather might weaken a structure or may weaken utilities. A safety officer whose job is constantly to evaluate the potential for dangers to firefighters should be present at complicated events. If your department's safety officer isn't at the scene, you're the safety officer of the scene. Effective response balances moving fast enough to get the job done, but slow enough to account for all the risks at play. If you've experienced or witnessed a near miss and would like to have a platform to share your lessons learned with others, please contact me by visiting the samatters.com website and clicking on the Contact Us link on the top of the homepage. Think about it for a moment. The lessons learned from your near-miss event could save the life of another first responder. If you want to share your experiences, contact me. If you haven't subscribed to the SA Matters radio podcast yet, please take a moment to do so on iTunes or Stitcher Radio. Search for SA Matters Radio. And while you're there, please consider leaving some feedback on the show. And if you like the show, give it a 5-star review. This is really important because it inspires me to work harder for you. A lot of time and effort goes into producing, recording, and editing the show and lining up the guests, and your feedback lets me know that you appreciate the show. In case you haven't heard, I recently released the 3rd book in the Situational Awareness Matters series. This book contains critical lessons on improving situational awareness and high-risk decision-making. If you want a copy, you can buy it at samatters.com website by clicking the store link or through amazon.com. If you know of a business that might be interested in supporting the Situational Awareness Matters mission with a sponsorship, I'm seeking a few select sponsors to help offset the cost of running the website, the social media, the podcast, the YouTube channel, the monthly newsletter, and all that goes into providing you with free content. The website has enjoyed over 1 million visits, and the visitors have downloaded over 4 million pages of content, all free. We post a new blog article every Friday. Our Situational Awareness newsletter is distributed to thousands of first responders each month, free. The podcast you're listening to on this episode has a new episode coming out every Tuesday. It's free and has been downloaded over 85,000 times. So if you know of a business that would like to get their message in front of my visitors, subscribers, and supporters, ask them to contact me on the SA Matters website by clicking the Contact Us link. A huge thank you to Midwest Fire for renewing your commitment to our mission and signing on to be the sponsor of this podcast for all of 2016. If you're not a member of the SA Matters community of learners yet, please consider joining. There are over 5,000 members connected here on SA Matters, sharing ideas about how to improve situational awareness, how to make better decisions under stress, and how to train members on how to be critical thinkers and resilient problem solvers. Membership is free, and when you sign up, you receive a special report that I've created just for new members called 25 Best Practices for Improving First Responder Safety. If you're not a member yet, head over to SA Matters website and click on the red box on the right side of the homepage that says Free Membership. If you want to get connected with me on social media, you can find me on Twitter, at Rich Gasaway, or at SA Matters on Twitter. The SA Matters Twitter community is approaching 17,000 followers, and thanks to everybody who's connected with me on Twitter. You can also get connected on Facebook by joining the private SA Matters Facebook page. It's free too. To do that, go to facebook.com/groups/SA Matters. Here's an enticement to join the private Facebook group. I put a coupon code in there to give 50% discount off of my new book. That'll save you $20. On LinkedIn, you can also search and find me by looking for Rich Gasaway on LinkedIn. Well, that's it. Episode 98 is complete. Thank you to our sponsor, Midwest Fire. Thank you to all of our live event hosts. And thank you to our listeners for sharing some of your valuable time with me today. I really appreciate your support of the SA Matters mission. Be safe out there, and may the peace of the Lord and strong situational awareness be with you always.
You've been listening to the Situational Awareness Matters radio show with Dr. Richard B. Gasaway. If you are interested in learning more about situational awareness, human factors, and decision-making under stress, visit samatters.com. If you are interested in booking Dr. Gasaway for an upcoming event, visit his personal website at richgasaway.com.